Well, happy Friday the 13th to everyone. I came across this news clip that I watched on YouTube, and it just, it really chapped my hide to read about this incident. This man in Oakland Park, Florida. I think that's the name of the city, if I'm reading this right. Denny Denny Dorsey's his name. He purchased a home in foreclosure about 10 years ago. And this is one of these do-it-yourself guys. He restored everything. The 70s was a magical time for him, as I'm sure it was for many people who grew up during that era. And he redesigned everything, renovated his house to make it look just like the 70s. Everything from the carpet. I'm sure he probably had some shag carpet in there with the couches. He designed the kitchen cabinets, custom made them himself by hand to look like the, the exact same ones that are featured on the Ozzie and Harriet show, if anybody remembers that TV show. So his oven is pristine from the 70s, and I looked at that oven. I was just amazed because it's like an exact replica. Mine was kind of like a green color, but his I think was yellow. But it looks like it's a GE from the 70s, just like the one I had at my old home over in Dallas before I sold. And of course, I didn't take care of my oven the way this guy did. So evidently, he takes a lot of pride in cleaning all these items in his home and making them look just like it was during the 70s when everything was still new back then. Old TV that still works, salt shakers from his grandmother's house. I guess from when he remembers in the 1970s, and just holding on to a little bit of the 70s that he enjoyed when he was a kid. So just an overall master craftsman, and it restores cars as well. So beautiful thing. So he purchased this home in foreclosure 10 years ago, and then just out of nowhere, he receives a letter from Oakland Park stating that he owes the city over $1 million. $1 million for code violation fines from the time before he even purchased the house. And to be exact, that figure is $1,097,400 for 4 minor violations the previous owner had committed before Denny bought the house in foreclosure. So, and it was just, it amounted to just really petty things: overgrown weeds, trash in the carport, things that you've got the code enforcement officer driving around and leaving citations for things like this. But evidently the owner, or the previous owner, never took care of these things. And of course the home went into foreclosure. So I don't know if it was a tax foreclosure or if he couldn't pay the mortgage, if there was a mortgage on it. At any rate, the title company at the time of the foreclosure, when he purchased the home, had told Denny that there were no fines or liens when he bought the house. So the title company dropped the ball on this big time. Oakland Park, the city of Oakland Park, had never notified him of the fines in over 10 years until now, 10 years later. So they were clearing out old files. I guess they had some lackeys there in the department, government employees. They had them go look at some old files and determine, hey, which ones are we going to throw out to the pasture and which ones are we going to try to collect on. They're clearing out old files. They came across this file, and that's how this whole all this started. So of course, $1 million, people don't just have $1 million sitting in their bank account. He told the official he couldn't afford $1 million fine. And their response was, you'll need to call the collection agency. Of course, they don't, they lose track of all the information, no longer have the information on all what the original debt was. A lot of times they don't, because they're incompetent, they're inept. I mean, look, hey, and not to go off on a rant here, but if people who work for the government in general, once you get a government job, you're pretty much unless you do something really bad, you're pretty much set for life. I mean, you don't have performance reviews like you would in the private world, private industries. Um, and so it's just a lot of ball dropping here, just a lot of incompetence. And of course, they're going to tell them, oh, well, now it's with the collection agency. How convenient. We're the ones who originally wanted to fine you. We dug up this file, but we've passed it on to collection agencies, so we don't have to deal with the responsibility of dealing with you. That responsibility lies on somebody else. One hand, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. They're going to go to a collection agency. Collection agency is more than likely going to refer them back to this Oakland Park. And these kinds of things just really turn into a nightmare. It really speaks to the incompetence of government. It doesn't matter if you're talking about the national government. You look at the deficit that we're in and all the crap that they spend money on that's just entirely unnecessary. I mean, some of the stuff and you can look it up yourself and see some of the things that they allot money to. I mean, mating habits of Guatemalan frogs. I mean, things like that it's just ridiculous. And all that money is just flushed down the toilet. Money just burning for nothing. But anyways, I digress. So you need to call a collection agency and negotiate a settlement. Of course, that's what they do. They just pass the buck. So he contacted this news channel to, I guess, Channel 7 News Miami to try to handle, to contact these people and figure out what's going on. And so, I mean, that's what it takes. You have to give these people some type of publicity to get them to act right. So once they did that, the city went ahead and removed the lien. They wiped out the $1 million+ fines. I mean, this is just reaching when you do crap like this. I mean, I remember when I was still living at my home, and my dad had sold his home. It's a home that I spent many of my formative years in Dallas. He sold that home back in the early 2000s, and I remember in like 2015 or 2016 receiving a letter from the city of Dallas for a code violation from 2002 for that old house that was addressed to my father. So I guess they thought my dad was living at my house, completely different address. And they were trying to collect something in the neighborhood of $500. And that's what it's just incompetence. You're gonna try to collect on something, from over a decade ago. And that's just how incompetent these people are. And it's not like the city and the county and all the other taxing agencies don't already tax homeowners to death. I mean, across the nation, different cities, but Texas has some pretty high property tax rates, and they're taxing people enough to death. I mean, the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars that my dad spent while he owned that home just in property taxes. And now these people are going to try to come after him for nickel and dime him for another $500, whatever interest. But that's what's astonishing about this. When you're looking at this, $1 million plus fines. $1 million. I mean, how did 4 minor high weed code violations, trash violations perhaps, how did the interest add up on that to over $1 million? I mean, that's just what do you call that? And if you're talking about a high interest loan, usury, that's almost that's just criminal. I don't understand how these people can be so, just so incompetent and just the reaching here. I mean, that's just reaching. That's something that should have been thrown away. I don't know. But that's my rant for today. I just wanted to share that. I saw this. I'm going to post a link in the description so you guys can read it for yourself or watch the news clip. And yeah, that's it for today. Happy Friday the 13th.